What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior James.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. Marv coming in clutch. Last second, he wasn't ready. That's on him. Have a drink. Technical difficulties. With me today, we're talking Money in the Bank. Where's my button? We got Bishop. What's going on, Bishop? What's going on? How you doing?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me. I am okay. I am more on time than Marv, but altogether we are here. So all good, brother. All good. TubeTakesPodcast.com, at TubeTakesPodcast on Twitter. Come talk your shit.
Yeah, dude, my last couple months have been so fucking busy with stuff and like all these last second trips and things and reasons why I have to leave town on Fridays, which means I have to record everything else on like a Wednesday and then edit it by Thursday. Like it's just made the show a little more sporadic than normal, but it means I'm doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff, which is good. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
We got another one in like 2 weeks. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do much because I'm going out of town again all of a sudden. It was my birthday a couple days ago, and I was surprised with Dana Carvey tickets in Vegas.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. It was good stuff. So I'm excited to go see Dana Carvey.
I just started listening to his podcast with David Spade.
Yeah, Fly on the Wall. It's incredible.
Fly on the Wall? Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
It is my favorite non-wrestling podcast. Yeah, I listen to it all the time.
I don't even know how I came across it either. I feel like I've listened to it before, but like I'm at the beginning. So I just listened to the one with Molly Shannon yesterday. But like I'm legit listening to stuff from 2 years ago, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Their stories are awesome. They're the best.
I ping pong all around it. I go to the unplayed, scroll around until I see a name I want to hear, and then do it. And then when it plays whatever is the next one in, whether it's somebody I wanted to necessarily was dying to hear or not, I'll just listen to the next one too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's how I've been going through them. Just kind of like, oh my God, I really got to hear this one. Like Lauren Michaels when I saw his name was on there, I was like, well, gotta hear this.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I'm all over the place. So sometimes I listen to the one that just dropped. Sometimes I go back all the way to the beginning. Like, it's amazing, dude. And none of them feel out of place.
Oh, at all. At all. I love, I think the second episode or third episode was Rob Lowe. And when the three of them were doing impressions of Lorne Michaels, I was just losing my shit. It's just the funniest thing ever. And then
Dude.
every time Dana jumps into a fucking Dennis Miller impression, I just fucking lose it. His Dennis Miller impression's so fucking good.
So funny, dude. Wait till you get to Zach Galifianakis on it. I was laughing so hard while driving that one. Them all messing with each other. I can't remember who else, but there was someone they were asking. Oh, I think it was Jimmy Fallon. I think was another good one where they asked Jimmy Fallon to do a David Spade impression, and Spade gets like, he's kind of like, that's enough. Like, so it's good. It's good though. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Awesome.
I'm super excited.
Oh yeah.
But let's start with something simple, dude. Like, what's in your glass? What are you drinking? What do you got there?
A little bit of coffee, a little coffee in the dad mug. Other than that, some water on the side too. Nothing special today. Just got to get the wheels turning.
Yeah, same. So I got coffee and water. No booze today. I know that, like, I was thinking about it. And the show used to really be like, how much can we drink while we talk wrestling? Which I think is why people had a lot of fun with it, because it started to get like really confusing. But yesterday I spent 4th of July with Kevlar on the rocks. Posted some pictures of that, and yeah, I need to rehydrate today. Hydration is key today.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it was a good time. We drank, had a couple of cigars, and did a lot of sitting outside in the 102 weather.
Oof.
And I mean, I drank water. I didn't have no water, but like last night before going to bed and this morning, I was really like, more water. But yeah, dude, Money in the Bank. I went and I actually saw Money in the Bank with another episode 1 alum, Gabe, GR Lunar.
Cheers.
Watching it over at his place like we did Royal Rumble. I wanted
Put
to
his
know,
balls in your mouth.
Yeah, dude, I gobbled his balls, dude. His meatballs were so good. His cheesy, saucy balls. So good. Dude, I made homemade guacamole.
Nice. Is that the end of the story?
Well, while we're having this homemade guacamole, and I made keto chips. I made keto tortilla chips. We're eating it, and it's so good. Well, the problem is Gabe had his meatballs out, but they're beef, and producer lady doesn't eat beef balls. So she had to order some food. Food arrives. It's Chipotle. And what's on the top of this Chipotle? But a whole bunch of another man's guac. I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
So fucking slighted. It's been contentious in the house ever since.
I can see. Well, the thing is, if she had the choice between someone else's guac and your guac, did she at least try both?
Well, yeah, she had a bunch of my guac, but then she ordered out guac.
She specifically made. That's right, guac's an upcharge. So she actually paid for someone else's guac to come on her food.
That's what I'm saying. She claims that the salad just happens to come with it, but I've been to Chipotle and I just don't think that's true ever.
Yeah.
And 100% of the time you need guac from Chipotle, they're like, that's another $30, please.
Right. How much is my salad? $7.50. Can I have guac? $37.50.
Yeah. Yeah, not a problem. $37.50. But it was a good time, dude. Going into Money in the Bank, the SmackDowns, the Raws. Were you hyped for this pay-per-view?
I was, yes. Well, of course, but no. I get what you're saying. I know your question is coming from story investment and all that shit, right? But the idea of looking at the matches going, oh, this pay-per-view is going to be awesome, is how I was going into it. So they didn't pull me in with investment, but when they laid out the card, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Right now, to me, so much of WWE, it's almost, because we've talked about it, so I don't think it's an asshole thing to say, but because we've talked about it, it almost feels like it's taking a page out of AEW, where it's like just get the matches on paper, and we'll do enough to make it basically make sense when we get there, but not enough to make people really feel that they need someone to win or lose.
No, it's a great point, and I'm wondering if Triple H is trying to go for the Meltzer Booker of the Year, because it really
funny.
is. It really. It's really being booked like AEW. It is, but it's being executed a lot better, in my opinion, because like we've talked about, you can watch Dynamite and go, "What the fuck happened on this show?" Or you can watch their YouTube clips and go, "Oh, okay, this is what's happening with these people, those people, those people." You throw all that shit on TV, it doesn't really look that good.
Yeah.
The Raw and SmackDown presentations of what's happening, I feel fulfilled watching the show. No, I'm not overly invested. You know, like we talked about the last time, I think it was on episode 1, that you can miss a show or two and things will be fine. And that's a page out of AEW's book. You don't have to watch all the time to know what's going on. So, yeah, I wasn't invested storyline-wise. Things are kind of choppy when it comes to, like, show fluidity. But as far as how the matches are structured going into it, like, I wasn't having a bad time watching. Getting to the pay-per-view, I just wasn't fully invested.
Yeah, it's kind of how I was feeling about it, because there's matches on there. You go, oh, yeah, we wanted this. Oh yeah, I wanted this. And I mean, obviously, it opened up with the men's ladder match. Dude, LA Knight is so fucking over.
Yeah,
dude. I know we've been talking about it since the pandemic, when we were going nuts with Power, NWA. Actually, before pandemic, because we used to do a watch along. We had I don't know if you remember that, but we had Happy Hour with like 3 hours. And we would watch along all of the NWA Power stuff, and we couldn't wait for LA Knight to come out. He was our dude. He's getting so much grief right now online, and I think it's so funny, because everyone's all like, they're saying that he reminds them too much of guys like Stone Cold and The Rock. And I'm like, but we don't have Stone Cold or The Rock, so why would that be a problem?
Right.
And then some people were trying to bring up other like similar aspects that may or may not have worked in the past. I do wonder, like, and this might not be the day we're gonna just like figure it out, but like back in the territory days, there were 3 Nature Boys.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where Buddy Landel, Buddy Rogers, and Ric Flair were all using the Nature Boy. It wasn't a very long time, and then there was a period of time where they were, where a booker, I don't know, Arazi will be so annoyed at me that I don't remember his name, because we've talked about it so many times, but he was booking Buddy Landel and Buddy Rogers against each other, the Nature Boys versus each other, right? Unfortunately, the match did not happen, and shortly after, Buddy Rogers passed, so it just didn't happen. But there's all sorts of clips too of even John asking him about how he feels about Ric Flair using the Nature Boy, and he loved it. You know, are we just at an era now where there's just so much that you can see everywhere all the time that echoing something of the past is like now biting someone's shit or too upfront? Because we can watch all the Rock and Stone Cold we want every day, but back then, like, you couldn't just watch all the Nature Boy you wanted every day. You didn't have a network, you know? Even if you had tapes, it was like a couple matches, a couple promos. Like, are we just over-endued with content from these people to where if somebody gives us that kind of feeling, we're pushing back a little harder than we would otherwise?
Yeah, probably. And I was thinking about it. We also can't think that LA Knight is sitting in his hotel room after every match watching Stone Cold on a loop to make sure that he gets every foot for foot walk down the aisle to look the same. Correct. You know, so like there's definitely going to be influence in everything you do. It's a great point you make, though, because I mean, everybody wants to be their own individual. And if you listen to, LA Knight did a great interview with Cheap Heat. I only listened to their Friday show where they do like interviews and shit. But he explains it. He's like, yeah, there's influence and there's going to be influence. And it actually helped me become more confident and all that shit. Like he explains the fact that like you need that. Like you need the ability to unlock something inside you to be able to be your best self. So if parts of him exist that way, then they will. So what? If he's getting there by using pieces of them, then yeah, so what? He got there. Listen to the crowd. And how many kids? My son, perfect example. He's 8 years old, about to be 9. He loves LA Knight, and he has no clue who The Rock and Stone Cold are when it comes to performance. He knows who they are, but he didn't watch their runs. He didn't watch it. So what? Yeah. You know, it's like when and people were pissed off. You know, people, IWC, old people. They're pissed off that Kevin Owens used a stunner, and Stone Cold's like, yeah, use the fucking stunner. I ain't using it anytime soon. Like, use the stunner. Like it's an homage. It's, you know, it's So people need to tone down, because just because we can watch everything and try to do it, and how many times as kids did we try to act like Stone Cold or crotch chop and all that shit? I mean, there's no people up in arms going, why is everyone doing a crotch chop? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Yeah. Yes, there's too much access, but also he's not hiding it either. It's not like LA Knight's going, no, I wasn't influenced by those guys. He's out front about it, so let it be. And if he can perform it, then go for it. If he came out and it sucked, it's like, damn, this guy couldn't even do what Stone Cold did to make it make sense. Like, so let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the influence is clearly there, but also like you said, I think it comes off really natural. It's just kind of how he is. You know what I mean? It's kind of how he's been for years too. Like when you go back and watch old stuff, I know that maybe the episode that we did right after I came back from Hard Times, the NWA taping, I came back and I said, like, look, I don't want to oversell this guy, but watching this guy at the time, his name was Eli Drake. I was like, but watching Eli Drake, like, it gave me feelings like I was watching kind of The Rock or Stone Cold. I was like, he's kind of a mix between Rock, Stone Cold, and Kurt Angle, because what he can do in the ring, he's barely doing a fraction of right now.
Yeah.
But I remember watching his in-ring work and thinking that he reminded me of Kurt, but he kind of walked around like Stone Cold, but he kind of talked like The Rock. And I was like, he's kind of an amalgamation of them. And I was like, and I got that feeling like I was around a star like that, being able to like meet and talk to him and stuff. And like, I was like, I'm not trying to oversell him, but that's fucking hard not to be an oversell, right? And so it's just kind of neat to me now that people are like, oh, this is what he's doing or whatnot, you know? Oh, Grim Reaper coming through. Hello.
Hello, Grim. Hello.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with him doing it. I don't think he's doing it in the way that bites. What I think he's also doing is he's looking at those guys back then, because that's what he grew up on, and you could tell what worked. Dude, growing up, I did not like The Rock. And it wasn't like I booed him because he was a bad guy. I completely didn't like him on TV. I didn't like that he talked in T-shirt slogans. I didn't like that all of his promos were almost identical. Even now, when people replay a bunch of his promo stuff, they replay like a couple. Like if you go back and listen to a lot of them, Stone Cold used, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so he knew how to finish it.
Yeah.
So he knew he had an out. I forget, how did he start his promos? Because he had the same start. I don't remember what it was, but he had like a one-line thing that he would also say at the beginning of his promos to get it going, right? Because he had a hard time talking and feeling confident, that helped him build that, right? Where
sometimes it would be like, I don't know about you, but, and then he would deliver a line to get the crowd to kind of walk into his cadence of talking. I don't know about you, but there's 10,000 people calling you an asshole, and then stuff like that. Yeah,
but The Rock, and the flip side, even when I was a kid, I was like, but he's talking in the same slogans one after the other. You know what I mean? And it was like, to me, it was boring and it was uninspired and it was too easy. And I remember like in high school, I wrote a comparison paper because they're like, oh, you have to do comparisons on, find two things that are like but different and talk about things. And I did mine on The Rock and Mankind. And I just trashed The Rock in it.
Nerd. Nerd.
I legit trash. I was just burying The Rock. But I think with LA Knight, he knows that to have a promo that you're gonna be able to walk in and out of easily, but have a bunch of meat.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, right? Let me talk to you. How he gets going. He gets the crowd to interact by saying his name.
Right.
So it's a little different than, I mean, it's similar but different to like Enzo. Remember?
Oh, big
his
time.
thing, the New Age Outlaws. When
Yeah.
those guys were selling massive T-shirts, it was because the crowd wants to play along, but at the same time, he doesn't want to have one promo. He wants to have an in and an out and let the crowd play along in the middle. And I think he's doing it awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. And from the beginning, I wasn't on board with him. But to kind of step on your point about how much I hate Cody, it's all in the performance and the delivery. Like in the beginning, I noticed all that shit. Oh, too much of The Rock, too much Stone Cold. But none of it is The Rock and Stone Cold. It's all him. So as he's wrestling in the ring, as he's on the microphone, can he get to me with his performance? And he has. I still don't like his finisher. I don't think he gets to it cleanly. I don't think it looks good. But other than that, he's an amazing wrestler. The ladder match was a perfect place for him to perform. And everything he says on the microphone comes from him. And to your point about having the ins and the outs and the slogans, he has all that. But what he does in the middle to get the crowd on his side, to get the other performer to cue into their stuff. But then you can tell there's a lot of shit that he's saying on the fly that those are the things that makes me a fan, is where can I see the most of you in your performance? And I think he's killing it. I love the fact that he didn't win, because it's something Cody said at the press conference. Cena told him, you can be the champion without the title. You can be Mr. Money in the Bank without the briefcase. In this case, with LA Knight, he doesn't need the briefcase to be, quote, over, because the motherfucker is there. And if he gets a match against Seth Rollins next week, everybody wants him to win.
Yep. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. The crowd's response to him was insane. And I do think
he's
that
killing it.
He's killing it. Damian Priest won the match, and he sort of took it from LA Knight, which I thought was going to be a little bit bigger of a. I thought Damian Priest got a little more of a heel response from that than he did. I think people were just kind of like, "Oh, it's Priest," you know what I mean? Like,
which is cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good to have Priest to have it. He can come off like snake in the grass pretty easily, you know.
Well, that's it with the foregone conclusion that LA Knight was going to win, just like the foregone conclusion that Becky was going to win. Having that twist in the end, like we were on the edge of the seat, like, because they did it right. They did the false finish with the ladder. LA Knight goes up, gets taken down. All of a sudden, he takes the guy down, is back up, and you think he's got it. So they brought you right up to the edge, and they kick you off to get you riding that wave. I thought the performance at the end of it was awesome. So for Priest to win, like you said, he didn't get the heel response, at least from me. After he grabbed the briefcase, I was just like, wow. Like they all did it. It was a hell of a match.
The thing is, too, is that Money in the Bank it's got as a concept, it has a lot of work to do, because they've beat the shit into the ground since pandemic. Before 2020 was the last time the Money in the Bank match meant anything to the Mets.
Right.
You had I know nobody talks about it but me, but I'm still so mad about it. I still bring it up when I can. Otis never won the Money in the Bank in the first place.
Right.
In that moment, I was pissed and said, what are they doing to Money in the Bank? Because 100% of the time someone's won, the shot is they unhook the briefcase and they stay sat on top of the ladder holding it.
Right.
And for whatever reason, because they didn't know how to get themselves there, they had AJ pull it off and then drop it. Otis catches it, and he was the first one on the ground with it. He was the first one with 2 feet on the ground with the briefcase. Therefore, he wins it. And you go, but that's never been the rule. Not only has it never been the rule before, it's not been the rule since.
Well, it was a fumble. AJ never quite had possession. Otis was the first one to have both hands on the briefcase. It's a football thing. I don't know. I get you though. I still wanted him and Tucker to cash it in on the tag titles. I think the versatility of the briefcase, I think, is special. Like and opening it up that way, because you don't, just because the barbershop window happened doesn't mean tag teams have to break up, right?
Yeah.
Like, if before this whole bloodline story, if one of the Usos found their way into the match and they pulled the Money in the Bank contract down and they're like, yo, we haven't been champs in 2 years, let's go get those titles, you'd be amped for them cashing in the titles. That's the kind of thing that, like, I would love to see, because it's a new way of telling a story. And the Money in the Bank is the only thing that can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll give you the tag title is better and makes more sense than the US title or the NXT title. Like, that kind of shit bothers me, because it's all like you have a shot at, and in kayfabe, the one with the championship makes the most money. That's our
Correct.
kayfabe story, right?
Correct.
It's from the beginning of time. I'm the champion, therefore I make the most money. So for anyone to be like, I don't want the most money, you know what I mean?
I don't disagree at all. Yeah.
Especially because I mean, maybe we're just so far removed from the era of the promo about. I mean, but that's what Tribal Chief's all about. He's got to be champion because he's got to make the money for the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and the Tribal Chief is more about the status that the belt gives him than the belt itself.
Yeah,
The belt, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
The status and money, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't think that anybody has gotten anything out of Money in the Bank since prior to 2020.
Yeah.
Everything that The Miz did with it, with Otis, was not good. I mean, we had failed cash-ins a couple times because of Roman. I thought the funniest thing that happened with it was Austin Theory constantly coming out and getting sucker punched away from it. I thought that was really good, but it didn't do shit for Theory.
Right.
And then Theory goes to cash it in on the US title and still fails. And then has to get it a different way. Like, that Money in the Bank briefcase right now means so little that I'm a little worried about anyone having it, because they're really in and they're high on Seth. Because people are singing the song.
Yeah.
And I know I'm tired of it, but a lot of people aren't, and that's fine. But you can watch it enough to go, okay, they're high on Seth. They definitely want Seth as their champion, and he needs to establish this title. I don't know that we've got any evidence that, as much as I love Seth, I don't think we have any evidence that any title on Seth has been elevated.
Right.
Ever. I can't think of a single title reign where it was like, that title's more important now that Seth has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I'm thinking about it now, and even his IC title reign it got great matches out of a lot of people, but that's what Seth does. It brought, I mean, what was it? Him, Finn, and The Miz or Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania that opened the show.
Yeah.
That match was fucking incredible. So much so I don't remember. It was also fucking forever ago. But yeah, you're right. It's not like when he drops the title doesn't mean more. I do feel like in this case, though, this is the closest it's ever been, because it's a brand new title with no other stink on it, no other elevation. So, but it would take a quality match and Seth going away for that next person to raise the level of themselves, because the title put them at that level, if that makes sense.
Sort of, but it's almost de facto, right? It's almost like, because this is a new title, there's only establishment to be made, right? But I think on the same time, the reverse is also very clear here. Is Seth holding this title make it prestigious? Or is it just a bunch of really good matches again? And I'm not trying to talk shit on Seth, because I think he's amazing. But at the same time, we have a dude who's been cutting the same promo for about 3 years. A visionary, a revolutionary.
Yeah.
And at some point, you have to kind of reflect that in 4 years, he hasn't shared a vision. He hasn't evolved. He hasn't talked about the revolution. He just says that he is those things. And then, but there's really no context to it. And then he just goes out there. He has fine promos that get you to the match. And the match is great.
Right.
But no one's replaying his promos. There's no I saw one person do a thing on it once, actually. It was really cool, where they tried to explain how the visionary worked, and the thread of trying to explain this character was pieced together in a really cool way. But that person did a lot of legwork. But on the flip side, where you see people pulling up, oh, Becky said this, oh, remember Jay said this, and oh, Roman said this, and they're piecing it all together constantly. With Seth, because it's all just fine and then good matches, everyone just moves to the next thing. It's fine. Next.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah, he
no
had this great
thread.
match.
There's no through line. There's no evolution. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time Seth gets a title, and maybe it's just because it's part of the character that is Seth, he does these big open challenges for a while. And I think that the idea is that it's going to elevate that title and the brand. Like when he was the IC champion, he was doing it because there was no Raw champion at the time.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be the title. And it was closing the show. But it was just a bunch of random matches with the champion and then whoever was going to lose this week. And it didn't feel like elevation. Not the way that John Cena did it. For whatever reason, when John Cena did the open challenge, it felt cool. It felt like something was happening. Seth does it and you go, oh, Seth just wants to have a good match with this guy, I guess. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything for it. And so I'm concerned that this title already feels like it's just static because of the nature of the character of Seth and doing these open challenges. But at the same time, they're super into him because of the sing-along thing. That this all goes back to Damian Priest being the Money in the Bank holder. He clearly can't cash it in on Roman. I don't know where they're going with that story, if I'm honest, at this point with Roman. I have no idea where it's going. I don't see them giving it to Jay.
Right.
I don't see them giving it to Cody in some weird spot, and another Mania might be too forced and take too long. I don't know. I just don't know. So the Roman conversation to me is just off the table because I just don't know what they're doing. I have no idea. Whether for good or bad, I just don't know. And then with Seth, they're just so heavy on Seth that if Priest cashes in, he has to win it because the Money in the Bank is so not important right now. It has to make it seem like you have a chance. You have something big you can do. But I don't know that they would do that for Seth. And I definitely don't want to see them in some sort of like predetermined triple threat. I don't want Damian Priest to be like, I'm going to cash in at SummerSlam. And then Finn gets involved. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see that shit either.
Yeah, and now they're mixing it in on NXT as well. I don't know if you watched last night. I know you stepped away from NXT for a while, but Carmelo Hayes and the Judgment Day are talking shit to each other, and it's weird, man. It's weird. So whatever's going to happen with Money in the Bank, I think you're making a great point, though, that's kind of been understated, that the briefcase itself, its value, it really only held for Big E over the last couple of years. And even then, it's been a footnote because Big E's been injured. So the retelling of that legacy just hasn't happened. And, you know, before that, I think the most fun was Brock. And that was one of the most bullshit wins of all time, right? Oh, there's an extra person in this match, but we don't know who it is. He's in there for like 4 seconds, gets the briefcase, and then has the most fun with it forever, right? Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. The value of the contract isn't quite there. But hopefully it can be. I mean, Damian Priest has been doing some really good stuff this year. So hopefully he gets an opportunity to add the value to it. But to your point about the title and the briefcase at the same time, that's a tall task for Damian Priest to be able to build both at the same time. Yeah. If he cashes in and wins, then that's adding the value to the briefcase. But the only way he can do it is if that title makes sense for a couple months. And that's a lot of legwork for him. Yeah. I'm sure he's up for the challenge, but
it is. And right now you're in a huge pit of trying to make that title look like it's a top title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it didn't close the show.
Right.
You know? Also, I thought it was funny. There was a bunch of stuff that they were trying to say. Oh, you know, we'll get to it. I'm gonna hold up on that one. But yeah, Damian Priest, Money in the Bank winner. Let's also talk the women's Money in the Bank, just because we're talking a lot of contracts here. The women's Money in the Bank is the only one that's at 100% success as of right now, which I also think is funny. If you go back like 2 or 3 years, like when Baron Corbin cashed it in, it was like a 98 percentile cash-in rate or some shit. At this point, it's like 75. Just because there's been a bunch of fails.
Yeah.
The women's Money in the Bank match. This is one, like you said, everyone said it had to be Becky. It was going to be Becky. It needs to be Becky. And then, of course, obviously, there was a ton of us who said Io would make a lot of sense too. So to me, it was like Io or Becky would make sense. I saw someone saying that Becky doesn't need it, so she shouldn't win it. And all I could think about was Brock Lesnar didn't need it.
Right.
But that's what made Brock Lesnar who we have today. You
Right.
don't get country Brock without the Money in the Bank.
Correct.
Brock needed that to connect to the audience in a way that he'd never been able to before.
Yep.
He needed to show that he was a different level entertainer, right? Or a different type, right? Not that Becky hasn't been able to show or connect. I mean, Brock was connected at the time too, and he's just a massive heel. But I don't buy into the idea that Becky didn't need it because she doesn't need it to get a title shot. To me, there's so much that we've just been going on about. So much you can do character-wise with the briefcase. Look at Mella. The Money in the Bank made Mella a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Before the Mella is Money, she was another really good wrestler working on her character. Then and after, she's got a Hall of Fame career. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't buy into that someone's too big a star to need it.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? If you have a podcast and you're an idiot with a laptop and a microphone, or you don't have a podcast and you're just an idiot on Twitter, like, we're just idiots watching this stuff. Like, it's not, I've said this a million times, it's not for us to decide who deserves and doesn't deserve. It's up to the performers to show us why and how things are important. Themselves, titles, briefcases, contracts, like, it's up to them to decide to tell us how important it is. And if they can't do it, then they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
That's where the deserve comes from. So if you wanted, let's say the women's Money in the Bank was having the trouble that men's is, don't you think Becky's the one who deserves to win it to restore the glory of the briefcase? And if Becky won, she can show you exactly what the briefcase is supposed to look like, how you're supposed to operate with it, could tell you the entire story of how important the briefcase is in one fucking promo. But yeah, so deserve, it's not up to us to see who deserves or whatnot. It's foolish, man.
Yeah, I agree with all that. The match itself, the Women in the Bank ladder match. Dude, this is one of my favorite ladder matches.
It's fun
for the women ever.
It's a lot of fun.
I only say that because there's just less women's ladder matches for me I don't have to think back as far.
Well, do you think we got lucky? Do you think we got lucky that Trish got injured? And that's not a dig on her, but there was a moment where things were happening. I was like, wait, where's Trish and Zoe? And I'm curious if the nose injury was legit, or they're trying to retell the story because she's been taking some old stuff from the past. But decluttering the match as if it was anyway, because I had so much fun watching the match. I thought it was awesome as well. But it was towards the end, I was like, wait, where's Trish? Where's Zoe? And less people in the ring always makes for an easier time.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, without trying to harp on it too long, I felt like all of the tough spots and clunkiness was involving Trish. A lot of people were working around her, and it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So having her out of it, I thought was best for the match too. The story that could be told otherwise. I just don't think Trish is hitting. I mean, even on Raw, did you see her promo?
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I don't. And I get it. Everyone's trying to be nice and say online she's killing it, good as ever, and all that. And I was like, but I'm watching. So
no, she's not. She's not. But and I think maybe the biggest difference between the late 90s and early 2000s to right now, like that 20-year gap, they weren't required to do this. The women weren't required to come out there with a microphone and talk for 3 minutes without taking some piece of clothing off. So it's not like Trish as a legend, because Trish is a legend, regardless what anyone wants to say, no matter what. She's a legend, a Hall of Famer. She's a reason why women do get into wrestling. Now, where we want to rank people and all that, that's another story. But she wasn't a legend because she had the greatest women's promos of all time.
No.
She was captivating to the audience. She can hold them in the palm of her hand. Charismatic as fuck. But women weren't promos back then. They just weren't. So what she's doing now, number one, she has the confidence to. absolutely has the confidence to. She still has her charisma, but guess what? It's not landing.
Yeah.
No problem. I agree with you. Like it is a struggle. It is tough, but her charisma's there and she's trying. And I did think that this promo, albeit still not great, was one of her more cohesive promos, if you will. She didn't seem as lost, but I mean, as most of the IWC says, how many more turns do we get? How many more chances do we get? How many more opportunities do we go?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just ready for Becky to move on to something that just feels worthy of Becky, to be honest. This just, I don't know who this is putting over. I mean, it's great for Zoe. Honestly, Zoe's the only one I'm trying to like watch while we're doing this, because Becky Lynch is Becky. Like, she could do no wrong, but Trish feels like an anchor. Lita felt like an anchor. I need Becky to be doing bigger shit than trying to revitalize Trish for some reason. I have no idea what that's for. But the Money in the Bank ladder match itself, dude, that finish where Io handcuffs Becky and Bayley together. Dude, this is one of those ladder matches too that wasn't just a ton of spots.
Yeah.
All the spots made sense, actually. It wasn't just like a bunch of people trying to figure out how to get into the next area. The closest we had to that was Io's moonsault off the top on everybody.
Yeah.
That was the only time people cluttered up. WWE even posted on their Instagram one angle of it where you can see Zoe like holding part of the ladder to make sure that it all goes well. But she did it so smooth that it took me a second to catch. I was like, oh, that's there it is. You know what I mean? Like, and if it wasn't for that one weird angle that was like fan camish, we would have never seen it. But outside of that one spot, which was a little bit, everyone's right here, right? Everything made a ton of sense. It was perfect. I thought it was so great. The psychology of the ending where Io climbs up the back of Bayley to get it. The whole Io about to get it before, and then the ladder gets kicked over and the camera just pans over. Who was that? And there's Bayley like she'd been caught. So fucking cool.
Commentary in the same spot saying, I don't know if Bayley knew who it was. She just knew it wasn't her, so she had to tip it over. Like, not making it personal, but it's about the contract. That it's they did a fantastic job narrating and performing this match. I thought it was great.
I think it's awesome. So Bayley has to get a shot at the title, right? And Io cashes in that match.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, they tease that with Finn and Priest and all that. I don't necessarily think it has to be that way. I can see Io just doing it, Bayley raising her hand and giving her the clothesline. I don't mind that either, But you also don't have to force it. You also have to force it. Tell us a story. Like, the Shayna Ronda stuff felt forced, like something that didn't need to happen right now. But I don't know if you want to jump into that now. But yeah, I don't necessarily think, not the fantasy book, because, it's not my thing. But no, I think Io, because at the press conference again, Io was like, no, we won this. But not in that way. It was more snarky, but it was definitely in a way of, we won this. We are Damage Control. This is ours. And then they went to do a high five, and Bayley still had the handcuff on. So like,
yeah, I saw that. Nice. Io went, ow.
Yeah. So they're doing a good job telling the story. Now there's another wrinkle, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, man, I love them. And I love that match. It's easily in my top 5 women's ladder matches of all time. It might be the best Money in the Bank match
quick,
I've ever had.
I was talking on Twitter, and people complaining that it wasn't LA Knight or it wasn't Becky Lynch or whatever. Damian Priest and Io Sky, apologies, they were part of the 2 biggest matches in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That Bad Bunny crowd reaction, Damian Priest did more than his part to help carry that match. And Io Sky's performance and crowd interaction in Puerto Rico was fucking amazing. So I'm glad that when you talk about deserve, if you want to look back on who won, look at their performances over the last couple months. These guys were right there for the picking.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me see. Let's do the women's tag match like you talked about. Ronda, Shayna, Liv, and Raquel. Dude, this one, I was so impressed with the match up until the finish. I couldn't believe how good these women were working together. Liv Morgan was doing some sick, fluid moves that were, not to say that that's like atypical, but she's had a lot of struggle going through. You know what I mean? She's had to work a bunch to get where she's going, and
Raquel
like,
too.
yeah. And obviously, Ronda's had a lot of clunker type matches. Shayna's not always looked the sharpest. Like, so I was really surprised that these four clicked so well. It was incredible. And then Shayna walks in and just beats the shit out of Ronda for no fucking reason at all, then leaves. And Liv Morgan, once again, has a great feel-good moment with the weirdest fucking finish. It feels like every time Liv Morgan has a big moment, it's immediately preceded by, what the fuck? Well, at least
Right.
Liv won. You know what I mean? Like,
It is weird because maybe it takes a little bit of icing off the cake for us, if you will. Like, we get what we want, but it doesn't taste as good. So when we look back on it, it's like you said, oh, well, at least she won. Maybe if Liv's wins felt more complete, we would, like, the stink wouldn't wear off, right? Because that's what happened when she won the women's title. The stink kept wearing off, and nobody cheered for her after like a month.
yeah.
So, you know, that's a great point that she gets these seminal moments that just turn out to be like, oh, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. She's got the worst finishes. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because that can't be all on her. You know what I mean? But the turn, Shayna's turn on Ronda, you mentioned it earlier, didn't seem to need to happen. After the promo on Raw, I think they doubled down on it really didn't need to happen. There was the weirdest fucking promo too. Shayna did an excellent job on the promo. It's the best she's ever sounded on the mic.
I agree.
But the whole story was so fucking weird because are they just acknowledging the fact that there's no way the fans are ever going to accept Ronda? Is that what that is? Because it was definitely a turn on Ronda, which would typically make someone a babyface.
Yes.
However, Shayna's entire promo was I paid my dues and you just walked in here, which is a babyface promo.
Yes.
I couldn't tell who the bad guy was supposed to be. Who am I supposed to not like?
I said the same fucking thing. And here's the problem too. Ronda keeps getting you can get the verbal beatdown or the physical beatdown, but one of them has to make you a good guy. But she's continuing to get the verbal beatdown and the physical beatdown and still not getting the sympathy. And that's fucked. She's actually in a less of a win situation than she was before.
Yeah. It's insane, dude. I feel so bad for Ronda because I think she's so good and the fans just won't accept that.
And that's the thing. I was talking to a couple of people, and I bring it up all the time because I think it holds merit. Growing up with her speech impediment, the stutter, or the lack of verbal confidence to perform on a microphone, this shit's not easy. Even when I did my first couple, and I didn't grow up that way, but when I did my first couple podcasts, I would get fucking stomach knots. I had to do speeches in high school, and I would get physically triggered to tear up from stage fright. It's hardwired in humans to speak in front of crowds and be nervous because you used to have to defend yourself to the crowd to not get hit with rocks and all kinds of shit. Like, it's hardwired in humans to not be comfortable speaking in front of crowds. Yeah. So for Ronda to have her inabilities to speak on the mic, but go out there and try. I'm not saying we all have to cheer, but she's fucking doing it, And over the last, put on any Ronda match you want. Put mute if you feel like it. Watch how many times she hits the fucking mat. She's been taking beating after beating after beating since she came back full time. Mm-hmm. To your point, she took the loss to Liv right after the turn. And I said to the missus, I said, is there a chance that every time we saw Ronda in the matches getting her ass whooped, that she was getting ready to continually be beat down by Shayna? No, Shayna, let it in. I need, she was trying to callous herself for this feud because she's been, again, watch the last 3 Ronda matches. She's attacking the fucking mat with her body. Yeah. She's giving herself to these matches, to us as fans. And for her to get no sympathy really fucking sucks, man. Really sucks. Because here's what's going to happen. Let's say she beats Shayna. Nobody's going to fucking cheer. They got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do for that to happen. It sucks. It sucks because even as the obvious fan, what should we have? Oh, Ronda and Shayna as tag team champions. Nobody can beat them. Okay. Fucking couple weeks. For a couple weeks.
Dude, and I said it on. I talked to my brother on the phone like the day after Money in the Bank, and then I saw a couple days later that a bunch of these rumors started populating online from the insiders. And what I'm saying is, my theory was this beforehand, and so that's another reason why I don't think any people are insiders. I think they just watch the same TV show I watch. My brother was like, "Why the fuck would they do that?" And I was like, "The only thing I can think of, the only thing is that Rhonda's probably running out the end of her contract because she had a 3-year and she was gone for 1 year, and it's been about 2 years. It's probably really close to the end of her contract, and she probably doesn't feel like renewing because she's so happy at home, and the fans are assholes to her." And I was like, so I'm willing to bet she wants to go out putting Shayna over so she can have that one match that she's always wanted with her friend. And I was like, however, no one's getting over by beating Ronda.
Right.
And no one's getting over by beating or losing to Shayna. There's just been too much damage done to both of their names over the past couple years. Shayna's not a threat.
Right.
As much as they're trying to say she's Shayna of old, she's fucking not. You know, she just hasn't been. And so if she gets a win over Ronda, no one's going to say, oh my God, Shayna beat Ronda. Ronda's taken a number of losses too, in weird ways even. You know? There's no... They both are credible enough that if they're in a match, you go, I mean, I wouldn't want to fight them, but I don't know if they're going to win this. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we talked about that for what feels like years. Every time Shayna gets caught with the fucking Carafluta clutch into the Roddy Piper pin, like you put the sleeper on and then you get pinned. How many times are we gonna fall for this, Shayna? Like, you're better than that. You're smarter than that.
Yeah. So I just don't know. I mean, this feels like again, this kind of reminds me. Remember the WrestleMania? I said this was a For the Boys pay-per-view versus the WrestleMania 4 years ago I said was the love letter to the fans.
Yeah.
This feels like a For the Boys match. No one's going to... I hope someone comes out big on this, but I don't see how the fans are going to respond the way that they ought to, right? And Ronda seems to be the one, outside of maybe LA Knight, the one person who's getting a response that's not what they're trying to get to happen, right? A lot of people are playing along with a lot of the characters. You know, Seth wants us to do this. We like Seth, so we'll do this.
Right.
Is he earning it so much as are we giving it, right? Ronda's the only one that they refuse to acknowledge that she really truly has earned anything. And LA Knight's the one where he's earned so much they won't just play along.
So now that this has happened, we can back book because I do that. I don't fantasy book, but should they have done it in reverse? And have just have Ronda turn on Shayna. Ronda could tell Shayna, they just laugh in the microphone, say 5 words, just go, Shayna, you needed me to get a title. You haven't had a title on the main roster. I'm too good for you. All this shit. Then you have Shayna come back and do this. By the time Shayna wins, Shayna babyface, Ronda heel. Now you have the real dynamic. But if you're going to try to put the sympathy side on Ronda and have Shayna lead the story, it's still going to turn out, like you said, at worst, it's null. At worst, it's Shayna over as babyface, Ronda as a nothing. But if you have it done the other way, then at least Ronda comes out as the heel. She can put her middle fingers to the crowd as she walks away and call it a day. Because she's going to talk shit on podcasts afterwards. She did it anyway. And that's what one thing I do appreciate about Ronda, like she said on that Steve-O show, fake fights for fun with my friends. Like, it's cute. She also understands what real fighting is. So, like, I'll agree with her. But also when she's at wrestling, she does wrestling. Mm-hmm. She doesn't skirt around that fact. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, she definitely shows up for that, So, I don't know, man. They should have done it the other way. Have Ronda be the bad guy.
Yeah, because they're going to boo her anyways. I just don't know. I mean, maybe that's not my spot, but like I don't know what would have made sense there either.
Right.
They'd have to dig around to find a good reason why Ronda would actually turn on Shayna, even if it was you needed me. Why would you turn unless Shayna's the one who lost it, and then Shayna doesn't look strong? And so, yeah, I just don't know how you would do it to make it still make sense. But yeah, Shayna's clearly not the bad guy here.
Right.
Neither is Ronda. Ronda's like out there getting her ass kicked and crying, and people are all like, "Woo!"
Right. Right. We didn't like that
And
bitch
Shayna-
anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I was like, all right, well, Intercontinental Championship, Gunther versus Matt Riddle, good match.
Yep.
McInfart's back, and that's that.
It was so quiet when that happened. Not necessarily in the crowd, but like at my house.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Well, Drew got the UK response, which is what he gets. He gets a
Right.
big UK response. That's why Cardiff didn't make sense for him to win it either, because he doesn't get that response everywhere. He gets that in UK. Although he does get a good response from the crowd often. And then on Raw, he has that promo backstage, and he's just being a fucking asshole again, dude. I'm tired of them thinking I should cheer a dude who's so cocky and arrogant and a dick about it.
Yep.
I just want to boo him. Come out and be a dick.
Yep.
The second I saw him, I was like, what? Why Gunther? Like, of course it'll be a good match, but I'm not booing Gunther here.
Right. And we've done this before.
Yeah. Yes. We did this a bunch already.
Right. Right. Oh, because you're the king of letting me know that I was wrong. Gunther chopping Riddle's ankle and getting the submission, a la the way he chops Ciampa and gets the pin. I just thought it was beautiful. I just didn't want to gloss over that. Gunther is amazing at working his opponent to defeat him, regardless of how it's done. I think he's just so incredible. He's so incredible.
He's amazing, dude. He's fucking amazing. Let's see. Cody Rhodes versus Dominic. This is one of those ones that moving into it, you kind of liked the story of it a little bit because the crowd responded as heavily as they respond. But then when you also kind of pull back a little bit, it's mid-card Cody again. Mid-carder for life. Right smack down in the middle. This was flat as fuck, dude.
Can I ask you a question?
Huh.
How is it that Dom gets more boos away from Cody than he does with Cody?
I think Cody's distracting.
Right? Right?
I think
too
the love for
hot
Cody's
on the
yeah.
There's too hot on the love side than it is on the hate side. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They love Cody so much that they kind of forget that they should be booing Dominic as well. Or when there's other people in there who they like, they just can't fucking stand Dom. Just fuck you, Dom. And then it's out here and it's like, oh, fuck Dom. But then they're like, oh shit, Cody's here. Great. Perfect.
Right.
Cody's here.
Right. That's why I love and I swear on fucking everything. It's so funny how much the IWC works themselves.
Oh yeah.
By saying Dom sucks and all this shit. And like they believe this, right? They believe that Dom is not good. Like he's always getting booed. How awesome is it that Dom can't speak on the microphone, right? On purpose, by the way.
Oh yeah. That's part of the script.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. They give Dom a promo with 4 words on it. It's like, hey, just try to say these 4 words. It doesn't matter when, just try to say these 4 words. Don't worry about anything else.
Yeah.
I love that they boo so heavy that then Rhea takes over and they just let her talk.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's perfect. And they think that the IWC, they as in the IWC, they think that they're the ones doing it.
Yeah.
Like
that they ran him off the promo.
Right.
He couldn't even cut his promo. We stopped it. They didn't write him a promo.
They did it on purpose. They don't care what Dom has to say. They care that all you sheep bad when it's time to bat. It's fucking perfect.
But this whole match, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this has to be going somewhere, right? Like this is an AEW style booking where it's all like, well, we want to get to this match, so how do we do it, right? We got a hot heel, hot baby face. Let's just get them there. Are they building towards Cody versus Rhea? You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't seem like it.
lend more credibility to the other side of this match? How do we? And I thought Dom wrestled really well in this match. I'll give you that too. Like I think
sure.
I thought
The
Dom's
match was
actual
great.
wrestling performance was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought everything was great, except it just all of a sudden was over, and that was it. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, the match was just for the match.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. So much so that as me, producer lady, and Gabe are watching it, the finish happened when they 3, and we all went, what? And we looked at each other, it was
same.
like, oh my god, who's coming out? Who's
Yeah.
coming out? We started like
Same.
going, someone's coming out, right? And we're like, who could it be? Who could it be? And then when it faded to black, we went, what? Why would you finish so flat and give us nothing after?
So here's an open-ended question, and I think I already know the answer, but you know how they now do the double whoa for Cody, right?
Yeah.
And on Raw, he came out, his entrance, he got both. After the promo, they gave him another whoa, and then he comes out for the interview, and they gave him another whoa. And then at the end of his match, like you said, there was so much time afterwards where the camera's on him, and then they get the crowd to do the whoa. What is that?
What? It's crowd love. They're just loving them.
No, like the perspective, the why in which they do that. Why does WWE decide to shove Cody down people's throats? You know what I'm saying?
Actually, I don't think that's them shoving Cody down their throats. I think that's this is gonna sound mean. I think it's them keeping the in-ring audience, the in-house audience, in check. Because when they get too bored and they don't get to play along too much, they start to do stupid shit.
Okay, off
I think
chance in different spots and gotcha.
Yep, I think they're trying to prevent shit like the beach balls, like the what's, anything that a bored crowd might do. Well, the crowd loves doing this. Let's give it to them a couple times. You know what I mean? Oh, they're going to cheer this guy. We'll give it to him once. And that way people are still off that high of the last time they got to do something loud. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was cool. I'm a part of the show. Where if you're just kind of out there watching, especially with all the commercial breaks as you've seen when you're there, they get bored because they don't get to hear everything you're hearing.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. That's a great point. From a business structure standpoint, what WWE is doing is that makes a lot of sense, because that's one of the things I hate about going live is how the crowd likes to deviate into too many woo chants and, the old CM Punk chants and stuff like that.
Yep.
ECW chants up here in Philly. I just think it's funny because there's a lot of, and I don't want to say a lot because I'm sure it's not that much, but there is a divide between the Cody Roman side and the people who are all over this Cody stuff don't realize how force-fed Cody is through this presentation, which was the exact complaint about the Roman stuff, how it was completely force-fed.
It's not the same. You can't force-feed somebody who's gobbling, dude. Roman was force-fed because they didn't want it.
Gotcha.
They're gobbling up Cody. They want it.
They're just jaws unhinged.
Jaw unhinged, dude. This is the Cody buffet. I want it. Cody me up.
What's up, Digi? Digi in the chat.
Yep. Digi coming through, says Bishop's always right. That's why I'm blocking him right now. Hold on, let me just give him the old disconnect. Grim Reaper says Cody has come out on top of every hour on Raw since day one. On top of the hour every hour. And Digi says a quiet crowd is a dead crowd. The worst thing that can happen to promotion is indifference. Yeah. And I think it just keeps them hot and keeps them engaged. I think it's all it is.
But a quiet crowd allows for a performer to interject their performance.
Yes.
Where when a crowd is going EC dub, and they're trying to tell a story in the ring, like, you're kind of fucking things up. So keeping the crowd in check for highs and lows, that energy to be spent at specific times, I think it was a great point.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Digi, my point. But yeah, so they had this whole fucking flat Cody Dominic match, and I was really bummed because I was like, all right, well, now what? Yeah. Well, then on Raw, he comes out, and Seth's all like, I don't know who I want to face, whatever. I don't know. I didn't hear most of what Seth was saying. And then Cody comes out, and he goes, what do you want to talk about? He didn't even get to say it, dude. He started to, what do you want to do? And then Brock Lesnar comes out, just fists Cody. And then Cody beats the shit out of Brock, and then that's it. We're back to that. I don't think that's bad. Do you think we're actually going to do Cody Seth SummerSlam?
No. I don't think that's going to happen. No, I think it was a good tease for perspective. It puts them at least visually on the same plane. So to my complaints before, I think this was a proper use of the Cody rub. All that Cody love that we're getting, and you put it right next to the Seth love, and it goes, okay, these guys are the same level of babyface shit, just like Cody said at the press conference. You can be the champ without the title. So you have this, you have this mountaintop for both guys. Yeah. I thought, I don't think they're going against each other at all.
Yeah, me neither. But I also felt like, I don't know. I think this is a case where Cody feels more like the champ than the champ. And again, it's to the dismay of having Seth be your guy to establish a title that he's never been able to do for any other title that's already had establishment. You know what I mean? They needed Seth to establish the Universal title, and it was always not the case. Like, even I think one of the best runs was KO's. People don't talk about that run enough, and I think it's because it was so heavily involved with Jericho. But
well, if Goldberg didn't come through, there was a chance. There was a chance that that was going to be something different.
Yeah. But and then Brock made it a very prestigious title. It was a rare title. You didn't get to see it all the time. Then Seth comes out there, does open challenge, and we just can't wait for him to get rid of that title fast enough. And so I just don't think that Seth's the guy to do that as much as we all want to believe he is, because we all love him and he puts on incredible matches that we love. We also don't go back and talk about him, and he doesn't have those. The biggest thing he ever did was cash in on Brock and Roman in a match he wasn't a part of for 5 minutes.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It was not even one of his matches, and it wasn't like he went out there and did the best wrestling match thing. He had a surprise moment at the end. That's the biggest thing he's done. Yeah. Beating Brock Lesnar several times clean was not as big. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he's that guy. And it's a bummer because we all want him to be that guy.
Yeah.
But then the guy did show up, John Cena. Just having a shitload of fun. Grayson Waller, not shaken at all. Got a ton of mic time. They just gave Waller mic time.
I've never been more wrong about a wrestler. But I wasn't even that wrong. Really, my only problem with Grayson...
I have a list of your wrongs over here.
My only problem to Justin, shouts to Justin Time 211, friend of the show, friend of all shows. He loved Grayson Waller from the beginning. And I'm like, dude, is he a boxer? Is he a rapper? Is he a wrestler? Is he a basketball player? He's a what is his gimmick? What is his character? Because athleticism off the charts. This guy grew and grew and grew. And then ever since his AJ Styles thing, I'm like, okay, he is just Grayson Waller. His gimmick isn't a gimmick. He's Grayson Waller.
Yeah, he's like a Tekken character.
Basically, yeah. He is fucking incredible. And to your point, unfazed by John Cena whatsoever. He's so good that we went to the beach for the holidays, and while we were shopping, my son saw a flowered shirt in his size, and he goes, "Can I get a Grayson Waller effect shirt?" So he's got a button-up white shirt with blue flowers on it, and he was rocking it open-chested on the beach with his Grayson Waller effect on. Like, dude, Grayson Waller effect is that fucking guy, man. Grayson Waller is that fucking dude.
Yeah. Dude,
he is awesome. He's the second coming of some good shit, man.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Because
Waller's so good.
He has what all the other young guys lack, is that natural charisma that doesn't need to step in the ring yet. He hasn't wrestled on the main roster at all. He has just been charismatic as fuck, carrying segments with a microphone. Even the shit that he did with Pretty Deadly the other day, where he's just sitting back after he, introduces them and they do the thing, and he's chiming in. Yes, boy. Like, he'll tag it with a yes, boy, knowing exactly where to be within these moments.
Yeah.
He did fucking incredible with John Cena.
He's amazing, dude. Oh, I was going to mention this too. When LA Knight and Logan Paul were on Waller Effect, there was another one of the WWE fan cam things, because they have their social media guy sitting there with his phone to give it like a fan cam, right? It's LA Knight coming in, and he says, I'm the talk of the town for this Money in the Bank. And he's like, because, I got everyone saying, does the LA Knight? And they all say, yeah, the whole thing happens, right? The audio is a little fuzzy because it's from a camera trying to pick up the audio bouncing up and down. So you can mostly hear what LA's saying, but you definitely hear the crowd. Ow, hey, night, yeah. When that's happening, Waller's facing the camera. And what's really cool is you see Waller, as soon as the crowd says LA Knight, he kind of like looks towards the crowd real quick, like, oh shit. And then he's looking back over there. And as they're doing the whole thing in the he mouths, he just goes, wow. And then he kind of clicks back in and goes, oh wait, and gets back into character because he was like, whoa, that was
That's
loud
awesome.
for that guy.
That's
so
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
Speak of the
Justin time coming through.
And he shall show. What's up, brother?
Yep. Digi's right. LA Knight has that same charisma too. LA Knight and Grayson Waller. Dude, imagine that as a wrestling event.
I thought I prefaced it as the young talents.
Yeah.
Like Austin Theory can't do what Grayson Waller did. At all. At all. Doesn't have it. It's not in him whatsoever. You know?
Nope. Yeah. Let's see. We beat it down a little bit. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor.
I mean, it's Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. I mean, you can watch it 1,000 times and go, this is fucking amazing. But yeah, Damian Priest. I would have loved for Damian Priest to show face after the stomp, at least after the coup de grace. But, you know, causing a distraction for the loss kind of sucks. I thought Finn might win just to have like tension mean something. But I also hate the fact that I saw that Seth Rollins got cast in a movie. So I'm like wondering, when is he going to lose to go do the movie? You know,
he's already done most of it.
He already did it. Okay.
Yeah. He was filming a while back, but he was also, this is another one of those things where you can just say like Seth Rollins, one of the greatest, and he'll never, you just wish he clicked the way that a Roman or a Cena clicked. Like he's even talked about it. He's like the Bret Hart to the Hogan era, you know?
Right.
And in a lot of ways he is, but also not missing TV. He was flying back and forth. He was doing the Cena treatment.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's great, you know, but yeah, the match was really good. But again, I was just like, I'm having a hard time being invested in Seth as a champion because it also feels so much like he's a young champion and the title's too new that it just feels another like these random open challenges. Okay, I guess he can lose to him. I really wish Finn had won here.
Yeah.
I think it would make it interesting. Because no one's vying for it. It's just Seth has it and people are, you know what I mean?
I was just thinking, what if, because I wanted Gunther to win it to begin with, right? Find a way to lose the IC title, win this title, and do what he's doing with IC, but this title, because that barrier of beating Gunther means something. And there's always someone going after it because of how Gunther presents himself. Is there a way to have, you know what? Let me just backtrack real quick. You said there's no one vying for it. And I think that's because there's no lineage, right? Mm-hmm. There needs to be the lineage for it to have the prestige. So it would have to be someone take it off Seth. Seth earn his way back and go, I want that title. That title means everything to me because that was my title, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that the vying for it, that particular, because that's what wrestling's about, right? Vying for that title.
Yeah.
I think, because that was my complaint about AEW's first champion, right? If it was Hangman could hang on to it going, this title means so much to me. It's the first title of this company. I show you what it's all about. Where when you go after the title when Chris Jericho has it, you're going after Chris Jericho. So at this point, you're going after Seth Rollins. You're not necessarily going after the title. I think that's a big, probably a big disconnect with this title.
And here's another disconnect with the title is we've had so much Raw without any title.
Yeah.
Where Seth's been on top anyways.
Right.
The Seth and Edge program, Seth and Cody program. These are all massive programs that were main eventing their shows without having the title. So now that you just put a shiny belt on Seth, it doesn't feel different. Justin Time says Seth and Finn was really good, just felt like the match was missing something. And I think it's missing the give a fuck factor because it's just Seth on top again. He's been on top for years, just not without the title. And now that you put a title on him, it feels an awful lot like, I don't even want to say like the how people have been calling it the fucking consolation prize. It feels like less than that. It doesn't even feel like the prize. It just feels like, hey, you've been on top for a while and you're supposed to have a title, so we got this now. But you're not good enough to beat Roman, and Roman's still walking around with 3 titles now. And I know that people are trying to say that that's part of the Roman character. He would do that, but I think that it further undermines Seth's title. It makes it even lesser than. It's crazy. So, like, I think that the idea that everyone's been vying for Seth anyways, with or without the title, makes the title seem so secondary and unimportant that I think it needs to shift hands a couple times. And I know people are going to be like, oh, it's bouncing back and forth a little bit for it to mean something. I think it kind of needs to start to gain any traction.
Well, I think that's a good point about the Cody not winning at WrestleMania. Like, if the story becomes so successful, then finish the story when you have the opportunity to. Yep. Like, to Justin's point, saying that, you know, the Finn stuff was about their SummerSlam match 7 years ago. That the story actually got there for me, where it was like, okay, yeah, get your redemption. And to not do it, then why did you tell us the story?
Yep. That was my fear with the story being so good. For Balor to lose doesn't do anything for either of them.
Yeah, because what now? What now?
Yeah. Now you told a great story for no reason.
Right.
Like, Finn is just worse then? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, Finn had him, but then Damian distracts him. I know that they're really building towards a Finn and Priest thing, which probably be good. But yeah, I think what we're missing with Seth is that he's been one of their top guys for so long without a title that just randomly putting a title on him that didn't mean anything in a weird tournament. Just, it's part of his extravagant wardrobe now. You know what I mean? Like, this might as well be big red shoes to say champion. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Let's see. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. Not bad.
You know, as far as really, really, really good matches go, yeah, this one was a bet.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad one bit. I'll take it.
They're pretty good, huh?
Yeah. I don't like Roman walking around with all 3 titles. And I know it's
Me neither.
And not the heel heat thing. I think it just makes everyone look stupider.
Yep. I agree.
Makes Rhea look stupid. It makes Asuka look stupid. It makes Seth look stupid. It makes Triple H look stupid. It makes Roman look stupid. It makes them all look dumb because it's supposed to be Roman's ego. But really what it does is it highlights the idea that new titles don't mean anything. So all the new titles don't mean anything.
Right.
Because he's still carrying around the old titles. If we're going to rebrand your title, you want that to mean something. He's devaluing the gold title. He's devaluing Seth's. He's devaluing both women's titles because they're not carrying around their old titles. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to mean something. Like,
I think it makes Roman look dumb. Like, you're that, like, you're carrying around nothing behind you. Like, this is fucking stupid. I didn't necessarily translate it to the rest of them. I mean, it's a good point. If you want to project that far, I could definitely agree with you there. I just looked at Roman. I'm going, your character is better than this. That's how I was like, your character is way better than this. You don't have to do that.
That's true too. The idea that, because I've heard some people talk about how it's his narcissism and he's so egotistical. Of course, he would just stack them like trophies and keep carrying him around. And you're like, would he? You know what I mean? Like, if Roman really is the top and the tribal chief, he's the type who would have made his own custom title.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where's his smoking skull and being like, no, this is mine. I can have it however I want it to because no one's ever going to take it off me.
And could you imagine that? A badass Polynesian one with all the symbolism that they have in their culture? Be fucking awesome.
Yeah. He's the type of character to do that and say, your guys' little petty titles don't, like, whatever. But this one's mine because no one's ever taking it off of me.
Right.
But to just keep carrying around more and more and more. And it's like, nah, I don't see it the same way. I don't see that as some great, deep character work there. It kind of looks lazy and dumb. It makes everybody else look stupid. You know?
Yep.
Because I also think it makes Triple H look stupid in the idea that he's made these titles and given them to these people as like, here's what we're doing to represent it. And then just being, I don't listen to you either. Okay. Well, why didn't you make your own?
Well, no, Seth got the first one, right? It was Seth, and then it was Roman, and then it was the women.
Yep.
Because it's kind of like if you want to give Triple H credit, give him credit for taking the women's belts from them while giving the new one, because he fucked up by not taking Roman's, because now Roman's not giving his
funny.
back. You know what I mean?
Funny. Yeah, the story of him like, I need that one back. I just
Actually, guys,
can't
I got to take these from you because Roman didn't quite give his back. I got to make sure that I get those back.
not having all. I'm getting a run around from him.
Yeah,
I keep hitting him up. I'm not getting it back. He doesn't even come through Gorilla the same way. Like,
you know what I mean? Every time he goes a hand to me, he actually gives them to Paul Heyman, and I have like a no contact clause with Paul Heyman. I can't do it. So
that's pretty good. That'd be great if that was the deal. Roman Solo Usos. I mean, obviously great. I love Jay doing the kick out into the ball shot.
It was amazing throwback.
Jay versus Ray. Yeah.
Amazing throwback. It was even to what Roman had to do a couple times. He did it to Braun Strowman. He did it to
he did it to Jay.
He did it to Jay, yeah. So like it was one of his sneaky ways of winning before the Usos would do the winning for him. Yeah, it was so I don't fantasy book. Sometimes in my head things come across. You give me that match to lay it 1,000 times, I would not have thought to do that. It was so fucking perfect. Yeah. So perfect. I lost my shit for it. I popped huge for it, the way these kids say these days. I went nuts. I was like, oh my God, what a fucking throwback. That was amazing. It was nuts.
Yeah, dude. Me too, no cap.
It was beautiful. It was so fucking poetic. So poetic.
I know a lot of people are saying that this is proof positive, proof in the pudding. This is pudding positive that Jay needs to be the one to dethrone Roman. But in my mind, this is what Jay needed. Like, that's kind of it. The Usos are a tag team. Beating Roman and pinning Roman in the tag team is proof that they're the better tag team. We are the ones, right? I don't think Jay needs the one-on-one with Roman. I don't think it would hurt either one of them. But in my mind, as far as like a need and a story and all that, if Jay even just said, go do your own thing, we're done with you. And if Jay, in a callback to Sammy, was the voice in the hallway for other people coming out against Roman at different times for the rest of Roman's story, that to me would be just as impactful as if they actually had a one-on-one. I don't know that I have no problem with Jay as a champion or going for the title. I don't know if I need to see Jay go and not win. If he's not going to beat Roman one-on-one, I don't think I need that. So I almost feel like that, at least for the time being, we did our thing. We said our piece. Now And then they just kind of walk away. And then, if next person who's coming up against Roman catches Jay in the hallway, or you see stuff in the background where that person's talking to Jay and Sammy, those little Easter eggs, you go, oh shit, Jay's still working to take down Roman. He's just not in his face about it. Like, I would like stuff like that, I think.
Well, they can go so many different ways, right? Because you can go...
Not really, just kind of that way.
Well, because the way you're saying it is take down Roman, right? But there's a Joshua Joe part of this, right? Like, there's still the family part that matters. And that's where I think it gets so tricky when talking about this, because like you said, the Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. They just beat the greatest champion of this generation in a tag match, and he was the one that got pinned. And they did it through tag team wrestling. But I was rewatching when the kiddo watched it, because he didn't watch it full that night. But I was telling the missus at the time, I said, when Jay gets in, Jay wrestles Roman like a singles wrestler. Yeah. I don't know if you picked up on that as well, but like, there was a singles performance to that. And then as things took a turn, the Usos started wrestling as a tag team. And that type of ring work, it got me in the feels, man. I was just like, I was so going along for the fucking ride. And the way everything laid out towards the end, and to do just one Uso splash, they didn't have to do the tag team splash to get it done. Like, it was just laid out so fucking perfect that when it comes down to the next stage of what's happening, they're doing the tribal court on SmackDown, which I think is a nice layer. I don't anticipate, like we just talked about earlier, the title being important. I just don't. This tribal chief character, it needs to dial back from tribal chief down to Roman Reigns, back down to Joe. And they have to keep peeling these layers back to devolve this story. Because it built so slow to get to that massive point from Sammy through WrestleMania that it's now devolving very slow too. No, not over 3 years, but the layers within the stories I do think are going to come down. I don't know where it turns. I don't know how it goes, but I think it's going to come back slowly.
Yeah. I think so too. And that's what I mean. Like having those types of Easter eggs where Jay's kind of helping these other people, but a lot less actively. Cause like you said, there's the head of the table concept. Who's at that table? The Usos and their family are still at that table, right? And even if the Usos aren't, their family is, right?
Right.
So I could see them being like, look, I'm not going to be the one to actively take that out of your hand. But I could see the sneaky little Easter eggs of, he's giving advice to people who are trying to, you know what I mean? And then let that build to something else down the line,
Right.
But
would this lend itself to the Usos going back after Sammy and KO, but without the bullshit? And then you have babyface versus babyface tag team match?
For what?
For the titles, because the Usos
why?
aren't for the fucking titles, because they're the greatest tag team champions of all time. If Roman's not going to feed them, if Roman's not going, all right, let's kayfabe it, right? Yeah. If they're a tag team and Roman's not going to feed them from his table as the champion, then the best tag team needs the titles to make the most money. So do they go after the titles to create their own table to make the most money they can to provide for their family?
Triple H could just make them new titles, and that's it. They're done. Yeah, and then Sammy and KO will still carry on there too. The Usos will have theirs. It'll be white, gold.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Easy, done.
You don't think it goes that way though? You don't think there's a Uso separation to their own in-ring story, or do you still think it's a battle to get Roman off his high horse?
I don't know. I mean, it could, obviously, right? Like, there's no reason why that wouldn't be on the table, but I don't know. After the WrestleMania thing, I just don't feel like I'm in a spot right now where I want to revisit that. But at the same time, I don't think what Sammy and KO are doing are nearly as hot as when they were going against Bloodline. But then they got drafted to separate brands, and they were still fighting every week on both shows. And so, I don't know. It is the tag teams does seem a little messy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. If you didn't do that, where would you go next with the Usos?
That's what I mean. Because because like you said, you made a definitive line in the sand showing that the Usos as a tag team is better than Roman and Solo as a tag team. Do they now have to prove themselves to what you were saying before about Jay going singles against Roman to prove that point? I agree with you. I don't think that's a thing. But if that's the case, then what do the Usos do? Do they keep challenging Roman to tag team matches until they lose? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So the Usos themselves have to do something. And if their goal is to beat the shit out of Roman, then they have to alternate singles ass whoopings. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and they also, like, I could see even the respect factor of being like, look, we won't go after the titles while you guys have them, but then what happens to them then? Do they just become another tag team on the roster somewhere?
Right.
I mean, like, they need something important. Do you think that there's a possibility we get to Survivor Series War Games and you have KO and Sammy and the Usos and Solo against Roman and some new crew of people?
No, but if you scale it back and you go Sammy and KO and the Usos versus Roman, Solo, and two others, I think that would be an easier way to get than to have Roman and Solo find two, than have Roman find 4.
That's a good point.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, Roman could be out there with Afa and Sika and Rikishi. And Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Yeah, and his little sweats,
Mm.
like when he used to wrestle Cornette back in the day. Yeah, I don't know. I
I
mean,
have no clue. Yeah, I have no clue where to go.
it's been cool. I still feel like I was saying though that there's a lot of missing beats and a lot of this stuff. And then when I watch Raw, it's like, yeah, I guess this is sort of happening. And we talked about it before a little bit. Miz is doing his thing with Ciampa, and I'm just like, especially like it's funny now that we have Waller. I'm even less interested in Miz.
Good point. It's a good point.
But I don't know. And I still love watching the big shows, and I don't like missing Raw, but I don't have a way to watch it live now, so I have to do the rewatch, and I'm never as anxious to wake up early and check out what happened yesterday. And I started kind of watching the Hulu versions. It cuts out about an hour, and I'm fine with that.
Right.
You know, like I don't feel anchored to every moment like I used to. I feel like a lot of this stuff is, like we said, good on paper, execution's perfect on the PLEs, but the week to week feels a little less pressing from segment to segment, you know?
Yeah, like I said, hopefully Triple H isn't going full AEW booking style where it's more or where it's less of a through line than it has been before, and it's more segment based. What do you think? Just throw it out there, because what do you think Logan Paul and Ricochet is going to turn into? SummerSlam match?
Did you see that clip in the back where they were like wailing on each other?
Yeah.
That looked fucking stiff, to say the least. Like,
Yeah. That was the one spot of Money in the Bank that I felt bad for, because they were going for the springboard Spanish fly. They missed the rope. They had to regroup. And I was like, oh, man, they almost had it. But if they were able to hit that off the ladder to a springboard Spanish fly, Jesus Christ.
yeah. It actually went pretty close to being on point, which was great. But yeah, I guess it scraped Logan's back and he hit his head on the table.
Yeah.
But he said no concussion or anything. He's good. He's good to
That's
go.
good. That's good. But yeah, it looked a little stiff, but I think they're both down for it. I don't really think there was heat there.
Right? There couldn't have been, right?
No. I think I don't. Every time I watch Logan Paul on TV, I say to myself, this guy gets it more than most.
Right?
So like I don't think he's gonna enter a thing and go, I'm getting slighted, let me take advantage here. I don't think that at all. I think he is using this opportunity to maximize its value 1000% without fucking up the ability to do it again.
Yeah, I could see that. But I also, at the same time, I see young testosterone. And so those are the type of dudes who might throw a bunch of punches at each other in the back, calm down and say, sorry, dude, I don't know, got into me. Let's work this. Let's do something here. Like there's
I can see that too. Like if you're saying he got a little overzealous in the moment, I can see that. Yeah. But I don't think it was anything malicious or, hey, we missed that spot. What the fuck is wrong with you? He may have a little bit too much adrenaline, hit him a little too hard. Next time, not going to do it as hard. I could see that.
Yeah.
But I don't think for as unlikable as Logan Paul is, he gets it. I don't think he's dumb enough not to get it.
I mean, but you see that just in young athletes too. They'll just on their own team members. You know what I mean? They'll have a fucking fight in the locker room, and then they calm down and be like, "All right, guys, let's get back to work. Let's train their best buds again." Like, I wouldn't be shocked if a moment like that happened, they caught it on camera. But at the same time, watching it a couple of times, I don't know. I'd venture to think that you're more correct in that it probably was a work where Ricochet said, "Don't worry about me, hit me."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to hit you because like we know we can take some hits and we want this to look good because we want people to want this match.
Well, can I ask you
I'm
this?
more inclined to think that, but at the same time, what I saw, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if they got into an actual little back and forth.
Do you think he has the equity with the wrestlers to make that mistake?
Yeah. Depending on who.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, do you think he's earned that with that group of people? Now, he's been messing with Ricochet since Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's Ricochet may help him in this instance. There could be a chance where even Ricochet is telling him, hey, man, this is my shot too.
Yeah.
I've done a lot with WWE and it hasn't gotten me as far as I wanted to. This is my shot too. Let's fucking make the best of this. I can see that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be anything, but no, I definitely would venture to say if it's because I don't know if Logan Paul has that locker room equity to make that mistake, that over anxious young energy mistake. But I can agree with you that there's a chance that it wasn't exactly how it was supposed to go. But now to kind of like fill in the blanks ourselves, the fact that it was Ricochet, there's a chance that there is that equity, at least with Ricochet.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make that mistake. Yeah, I can see that.
Plus, at the end of the day, just watching it and it looking the way they did, and I was going back and forth on did this really happen or not? Are they trying to work
Couple
a thing or
thumps
not?
there.
Like,
yeah.
And it was fucking good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I hope it was 100% all the work and it was just that good because it looked great, dude. I was like, oh my God, like that looked like a fucking fight in the back.
Yeah, I really.
That stuff doesn't.
I really, honestly, I mean, I don't think fans say it enough. I really appreciate Logan Paul being in WWE. It's crazy how good he is. How good, yeah, it's crazy how good he is. That sounded weird when I said it. But he's awesome, and I think with like, and this is no joke, just to say it, like he'd be fucking top 3 in AEW if he was there.
Yeah.
Like he's that fucking good.
Yeah.
It's insane. He gets it. He fucking gets it. Like because we've seen it. Like someone like Ronda, you know, she has all the athleticism, she has all the talent, all the moves, and it just doesn't click all the way with her. Fucking clicks with this guy. It's insane.
It's amazing. But yeah, no, I do think we're going to SummerSlam, Ricochet, Logan Paul, and I think it's going to be sick. I hope that it's like, I hope this is the match where Ricochet gets stuck in the air. Just puts for so long up there that I feel like Logan can bring him down, like just grab him by the ankle and pull him back down a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Like all pinfalls have to happen above the ring.
Right. It's no shoulders or ankles allowed on the mat while being pinned.
Yeah. More of a floating kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Pinfall
by suspension.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of all the stuff that was going on though.
Yeah, no returns. There's a lot of missing talent. You know, we haven't seen Piper Niven in a while. We haven't seen Bobby Lashley in a while. You know, Bray Wyatt's his own enigma wrapped inside of a fucking Pandora's box of whatever. So, I mean, but there's so many players that aren't on TV. Who knows where we can go from here? And what was really cool too about the press conference, Liv and Raquel named a bunch of women's tags that they would like to get their hands on, including Lash Legend and her partner right now, which I forget her name. Apologies, in NXT. So I think that's where they're going now with the women's tag, is going to continue to get eyes on women's tags as teams. So fingers crossed. They had the gauntlet match.
Yeah.
Well, they had the gauntlet match on Raw, and yeah. So with the unification, maybe they're going to float around the way they were supposed to, and really get eyes on it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Do you like? They did the unification, and I didn't miss anything, right? They didn't redesign the titles at all, right?
Nope. They just took the NXT ones off TV.
Yeah, they're just gone.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it went back to the way that it was meant to be. I don't hate that. I do think, though, because I've seen a lot of people talk about how they're doing the Carmelo thing and this tag title thing, and I see a lot of people talking about how they think it's to bring a bunch of eyes back to NXT, and we know that this is going to work, but get people paying attention over there. And I just don't think that's the case at all. I don't think anything that they've ever tried has brought a bunch of eyes to NXT. No one's going. Who's ever watching it is who's watching it, and you're going to have a few here and there to bounce back and forth.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time on episode 1, that it's they're trying to get the best out of the talent they have when it comes to NXT, no matter who goes and does it. even if you say that Tribal Court is taking place on NXT next week, you'll get a bump, but you're not going to get 2.5 million, 2.8 million like you do on SmackDown. It's just not going to happen. The traffic for Tuesday night at 8:00 is set. That's where it is. So will it optimize the talent by being with those? Absolutely. I think we found that out. Like when AJ goes down, when what was it, Nia and Shayna that had the match? Who'd they face? It wasn't Casey and Caden, was it?
When they went down for the thing? It was
when they went
somebody.
down, it was Shayna and Nia versus two other people. But
yeah. I don't remember the tag team at the time.
Yeah, but the point was, like, when the main roster talent does go down, you get the best performances out of those talents. And when it was Dolphin and Braun and countless others, right? Even last night, it was an amazing match between Ali and Tyler Bate. Fucking awesome. Awesome match. Carmelo Hayes and Baron Corbin last week was incredible. And people were like, oh, where's this Baron Corbin bit? He's always been that good. He's always been that fucking good. You guys just don't like watching him. So my point is, I agree with you that the WWE talent, main roster talent going down to NXT, it's not about eyeballs. It's about maximizing performance. So just watch if you want to watch. But so I would love to see Liv and Raquel go down and have a couple matches, go to SmackDown, have a couple matches. I think now is the right time to have the women's tag titles not on a Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah.
Keep it this mid-card level talent to have, and that's no offense. It's just these right below championship holders, and build that scene, build that women's division, have these awesome matches.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that's it for me, man. I don't think I have anything else. Just wanted to talk some shit with you, catch up a little bit. Didn't need to go moment for moment. Just wanted to go through Money in the Bank and kind of like the build up and fallout. Like, it's been good. It's been some fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And a month away from SummerSlam as we speak.
Yep, SummerSlam in Detroit.
I'll be there. Yep.
Are you?
Yep, I'm going. Yep.
Sam's doing a live show out there. You should try and go.
Yeah, I'll see the timing. So Kiddo's birthday is a week or so later. So it's this 4-day, 5-day trip that we're taking. And we're going out Friday. The show's on Saturday. We're driving to Chicago on Sunday. Catching a Yankee game Monday, going home Tuesday. So it's this little loop that we're doing for his birthday. So yeah, if there's a chance to do some stuff in town, cool. If not, we're not going to force anything because the tickets are planned for those 2 days. That's the main focus. If there's anything around, yeah, we'll do that too. But it should be awesome. I'm excited to see how this card really folds up too, because I think, and I always hate saying this, like that reset that we're getting post pay-per-view, you can kind of see how some stories are going to play out, but then things happen that you don't expect, like Damian Priest and Io to have these new builds come out of Backlash, to what we have now. So just kind of keep watching, take what's on TV, and go from there.
Yeah, it should be good, dude. I'm stoked by a lot of it. So even with the idea that it's not can't miss week to week and moment to moment, there's still a lot you got to keep your eye on because there's just good stuff going on, But I will say I do think that there is an absolute overkill of content at this point. Remember I told you when AEW first happened that people said it was just to add more wrestling and that Tony Khan was there for the wrestling fan? And I said, no, just you watch. He's trying to make you pick a side. He's going to drown out. He's going to try and have more hours than WWE. There's no balance here because it was always like, oh, you can watch them all because it's all just this. And I said it when it started. He's going to saturate the market in such a way you have to decide. And I'm seeing it with a lot of people, especially with their new Saturday show. They just don't have 7 days a week, 2 hours a day to watch all of wrestling just to catch the main stuff. Like if you want to watch MLW or Impact because you like the guys that are there, that's an additional several hours outside of just the 10-hour window. So I mean, it's why that we even kicked back a little bit on NXT so I could keep up with some of the other stuff. And now some of that other stuff I'm just not watching because it's like there's just way too much. I'm just going to watch the things that I like the most because it's all going to be pretty good. You're all going to have decent matches. No one's putting on absolute trash matches on the regular all the time.
Right.
If I want to see good matches and I want to have fun watching it, I'm going to start parsing out what I'm spending my time on to make sure it's maximizing my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who do I like
And
the most?
And that's a great point about AEW. And again, it's not that I hate them. I just like to call it out the way it is. When I say, man, this Moxley stuff, it's not hitting, or Kenny Omega, man, I don't get what you guys seeing him. And the answer is to Moxley, oh, well, you got to see his GCW. Or the answer is to Kenny Omega, oh, well, you got to watch his NJPW. What you just said is the reason why I just don't even try anymore. There's not enough hours. There's not enough time. If I click on AEW and they can't feed me what I need to see to enjoy the person that's there, I don't have the time to go elsewhere to do it. I just don't.
Yeah. There's just too much. Yeah, and especially like you said, if I'm watching and saying, "Oh, I don't get this guy," and they go, "Oh, well, what you need to do is watch 30 hours of what he did the past 3 years." Well, if there's that level of homework and investment, then I just won't. I'm just not gonna.
Right.
You know, I don't mind watching one-off matches here and there, and I actually do really like Moxley in New Japan for the most part, and in GCW. I haven't seen every match he's done in those, but I'm more inclined to cherry pick a match from him in those areas than I am to cherry pick a match from him in AEW, because he doesn't click the same way. He's just not as good. So then it's one more reason not to watch that. It's like, well, if I know it's not going to be the best of him and I like him, you know what I mean? Like, why would I watch something that I know is not the best of? You're telling me all the stuff that makes me like it now would be all this stuff outside of here, then I'll watch the stuff outside of there before I watch this.
Right. When you watch AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, nobody goes, "Oh man, but you I know you don't get it, but you should probably just watch Seth Rollins in ROH and watch AJ Styles in Impact." Nobody says that. There's a presentation to them and their ability in that moment to show you exactly who they are. And that's the fundamental difference about what we're talking about here. And I used to say, you know, back when a lot of the women weren't getting time on TV, they need time on TV to show you who they are so you can get invested. And if the time on TV is not being maximized in other companies, then so be it. That's on them. So with that, like you said, only so many hours in a week, only so many hours in a day. Sorry, guys. Like, this is what's here in front of you. And if you can't resonate with what's there, then that's on them, not on you.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it's even kind of reflective of how our show's even gone. We started off with just one show, and the one show just get longer and longer and longer. So we split it into two. And now it's kind of at the point where it's almost like, do we just do monthly PLE episodes and just kind of go from there? And because like at that point we can fill in a lot of the gaps. Look, we didn't even hit 2 hours today, and we talked about everything we wanted to talk about in the past 2 weeks that we missed. Because
and we were pretty much done 15 minutes ago. We've just been kind of rambling about some stuff that popped in the head. It's not that it's important information. It's just these little nuggets that help out every once in a while. You're right, man.
Yeah, and have the conversation, and the conversations are fun, but it's just not worth trying to cover every single segment anymore, you know?
Right.
It's just all over the place. But I do think it's time for last call.
Cool.
I got to go do some stuff. I got to record.
I got to pee.
Bishop, thanks for coming through, hanging out with me and Marv and all of our drinking buddies here. Yeah. Are you doing your own pod soon, or how's that going?
So it's close. But it's close as in concept. Every place that I try to do it, the time I try to do it, it just doesn't add up. So I've been guesting on a bunch of shows. I'm guesting on another show tomorrow. I can't pick out time to do it myself, but when I can be beholden to someone else, it seems to work better. The show's not going anywhere, but it will come back. Conceptually, we're looking at September, October. But we just got to get there. So until then, you can catch me on an episode 1. As I say, when the bish signal goes out, you push your bishops in the air, I will show up. So yeah, just let me know, brother. I'll be back at TV Takes Podcast on Twitter. TVTakesPodcast.com has all the info for platforms. Listen to some old shit of me just talking shit.
Hell yeah. And I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WOTR, the show. My Venmo is at Ref Marsh. Tips are appreciated and expected.
I'll give you a tip.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us here in the dive bar of the IWC. That's the last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.